Hello everyone. My name is Pavani Durga and welcome back to my channel. I am a CSE student currently studying first year in BV Raju Institute of Technology. And in this video we are going to learn about control statements and its types. Let's get into the video. In this video we are going to learn about control statements in Python. As we all know how important control statements are essential for decision making and repetition in the program. There are different types of control statements. Actually, control statements manages the flow of execution. So to study control statements and their types, let's see what are the different types of control statements are. There are three types of control statements. First one is conditional statements, second one is looping statements, and third is jumping statements. And furtherly, there are also different types in each type of statement. So let's study about that. First one, conditional statements. And in conditional statements, there are four types. First one, elif, second is if, third one is else, and next is nested if. As we can see, by the name itself we can know what does conditional statement mean. Conditional statements are fundamental for decision making in Python. So the if statement executes if the code for if condition is true, and else statement executes if the code of if statement or if the condition of if statement is false, and the elif statement chains the multiple conditions together. And next we go to nested if statements. It is a complex decision making statement. Nested if statements involves placing if statement inside other if statements, like to check a condition and another condition in the checked condition. So this creates a complex decision making structures within your code. Actually, to execute this type of codes, indentation is very important. So as we can see, the flow is like the outer if checks the first condition and the inner if checks the second condition, and the block of code executes as it is nested. That's about conditional statements. And as we go to looping statements, there are two types, for loops and while loops. For loops, it is a looping statement that iterates through sequences. For loops are used to iterate through sequences like lists, tuples, and strings, etc. They execute a block of code for each item in a sequence. This allows for efficient processing of data structures. As we can see, the flow for loops is like it initializes, then iterates, that means updation takes place, then repetition takes place. As we all know, looping statements are used to execute a block of code repeated number of times as per the user required. So that's about for loops. And next is while loops. While loops is mainly used to check a specific condition. It repeats the code until the condition is true, and to ensure such that there is no infinite loops, it gets terminated as long as the condition is true, and if it's false, it gets terminated. So these loops are useful for tasks with an unknown number of iterations. The flow is like they check the condition, execute the code, and update the variables and repeat. It repeats until the condition is true, and once it's false, it comes out of the loop. And that's all about looping statements. Next, we see jumping statements. Actually, jumping statements are of three types. First is break statement, second is continue, and other one is pass statement. But here we are going to learn about only break and continue. Break statement. Break statement is used to terminate a loop. As you can see, the break statement is used to exit a loop prematurely. It terminates the loop and transfers the control to next statement after the loop. This is useful when a specific condition is met inside the loop. As long as the condition is true, it checks until the condition is true, and once the condition is true, it comes out of the loop, so that next block of code is not executed and next statement is executed after checking all the conditions. That's about break statement and continue statement. Continue statement is used to terminate a iteration. So as you can see, the continue statement skips the rest of the current iteration and proceeds with the next iteration of the loop if it's false. And this is useful for skipping certain items in a sequence based on the condition. And that's about continue statement. As we can see, there's a difference between break and continue statements. That is, break statement terminates a loop prematurely and continue statement skips an iteration or terminates an iteration. And that's all about jumping statements. So winding it up, this is all about the control statements. I just gave the outline of what is what. So thank you guys, and feel free to ask if there are any queries about these. It's just an explanation, that's outline of what is what about control statements in Python. Thank you. Myself Pavani Durga.